Good evening, President Traore. Good evening, President Trump and Obama, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the EFF leaders, both Zambia and South Africa. I want to say that I'm very much disappointed with the Zambian government. It might be my last day. I've given him 2 days. Okay, let me say that my last 2 days to quote this book, which is a volume 1 of the open letter to President Hakainde Hichilema, because the Zambian government has proven to me to say they are adamant. They are actually fighting God's revelation on the restoration of PF. They want to make sure that whatever is called PF, it must be implicated in one way or another. And the Muzungu wa Mkomboni, which is maybe the Causeway. I don't know, it's what they call Causeway media, has published today. In fact, they hired protesters of South Africa. I don't know what organization. It's not even known here. And even the chief that they are parading is also a chief that resembles my uncle, who is a Changani, and he himself calling himself to be indigenous South African. I don't think if that meeting has to be reported on the Causeway media or Muzunguan media, it was supposed to have one of the ministers of South Africa or the president himself, because that issue of burying Lungu here in South Africa, Lungu is not an ordinary person where you can take news from people in the street, those who are fighting the fellow African here, calling them foreigners. And you as Zambia, you take and publish it to say the South African, they are saying that they don't want the board of Lungu here, the family of Lungu, they must go and answer all the allegations, even giving them the details of allegation. As we are here in South Africa, we don't even know where the family of Lungu is. We don't even have any news here regarding that family. But where is the Muzungu wako getting that news? That means the government is sponsoring the people here, these who are protesting against Zimbabweans, against everyone. Let me say, even ourselves, like the Zambians, as long as they consider us to be foreigners, they are protesting against us. And you take that news to propel your campaign using the board of Lungu, but you are saying the PF, they're the ones that are using the board of Lungu, but it's you, the government, that provoke the situation. And on the other hand, there's a chief, there are chiefs that have been sent to go and meet the first lady. We are still negotiating. We are playing politics. I offered you, Hakainde Hichilema, to say, if you want to resolve this issue, can you involve me? It will come to an end. Zambia will be back on the track. Why did I say, can you involve me? As humans, you think that I'm asking for recognition. But I want to tell you that I'm not even pleading for recognition. I'm not even pleading for you, UPND, to recognize me. Because all what I'm doing is to give you a second chance. Just being human. If I follow God's instruction, which gave me a revelation in the dream that I'll go after Hakainde Hichilema, I want to tell you to say, when you don't give yourself to God, you don't accept to call for a united Africa under Ibrahim Traore. I want to say that the 2 days I've given you, I want to hear from you, Hakainde Hichilema. If you are not going to say anything, remember that I won't mention your name to anything positive. I only mention your name to anything that is positive, to highlight to the Zambian people, to say this is the kind of a person who God warned of his coming. The SDA, they are my what? My witnesses. I told them when we are gathered in Woodlands, when I went to one of those elders of the Central Church, they agreed that they must bring me before the church after Mazoka failed to win the 2021 election. Say, no, we've been waiting for Mazoka to win. Now what happened? Come and explain to the church. I even told them to say, you are lucky that Mazoka has not won the elections, because there is nothing good of this government. I told them like that. Ask them. I have Elder James Banda, who is one of the witnesses who actually arranged for all those meetings I'm talking about. I said the coming of UPND is not a blessing, because I saw that it is supported by the Vatican, and the Vatican has no good leadership. Vatican has a good approach to society by giving food. You know, Africa, where food is concerned, even a witch, you can clap hands because he gives you food. Even a murderer, as long as he gives you food, you say that is good because you are eating. So Vatican uses food, using schemes to feed the poor, and hence they know that the majority are poor people. And that's where now we say it is a good church. It's not a church, Vatican. It's a political movement that it is uniting the world under globalization. The geopolitics is the agenda of Catholic Church, but mainly in Africa is to loot our natural resources. So now, when I'm speaking like this, I'm speaking based on a revelation. I promise that I'll read letters that points the origin of these revelations and visions. When people think I'm out on Facebook to seek recognition by UPND or by PF, I'm not there. If PF will still not be available, I'll keep quiet on them too. The reason why I had to choose Kasonde, who has no members of parliament, who has no money, who has no historical successful mounting of political gathering, it's because I don't go for money. If I was for money, I would have gained money. Here is evidence. This is the first paper, apart from the small paper, small note that I wrote at Freedom House. That was is it 14th August when I went to meet, when I met Dr. Kenneth Kaunda at Kenneth Kaunda house, which was UNIP headquarters. Even now it's still UNIP headquarters. On the 16th, I went with this printed paper, the first printed paper which I presented before the first president. There's one prophetical thing that I want us to look, despite that the other page is still mingled with other pages there where I wanted to read, but I'll still read here, where I said, just wait for the Lord's answer. I said, To whom shall I speak and give warning? This question, I was actually saying, when God speaks to me, to president, he doesn't speak prosperity. He speaks warning. So then this was based on Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 19. Here's also Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 1 to 30. And Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 9. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 1 to 30. I set thee, KK, for a tower, that says the Lord. Why did I give KK to be a tower? It was because if KK embraced the law of God, he was going to be what? A tower. What is a tower? An example of good leadership, an example of the fear of God. Then I gave here the stages of what? Of rising to be a tower. I said rising begins at bondage, spiritual faith, number 2, courage, number 3, liberty, number 4, abundance. So UNIP went unto that until it reached at abundance. When it reached at abundance, it never cared who voted for them. They had to put a frog and a hoe. If you vote for a frog, that means you are saying no change. If you vote for a hoe, you say wamiayaya. This is where UNIP got the people, because the UNIP took the people for granted. They were fools. But the more the people they were persecuted under UNIP, the persecution which was under UNIP, it was not by UNIP. It was because of the colonial masters that wanted to paint UNIP to be a bad government or bad president. They were facilitating all the things that were happening in Zambia. They were buying off food off from the shelf, taking them to Zimbabwe, taking them to DRC Congo, taking them to even to Ethiopia. Where there was hunger, that's where they were taking the maize. I saw it for myself. The trucks that were coming from Nambods across the country, they were just going there for scaling, and the man is paid there. As I was seeing, it happened that I was coming from Choma to buy chickens. It was towards Christmas, and they took us to, I've just forgotten that place. Is it what they call it, what? Where they used to receive the maize, to stock the maize for the government before it went to the national milling. So as I slept there, because we could not move at night, they asked us to sleep in. I watched a lot of vehicles, a lot of trucks and trailer. They were getting cash. The drivers, they were getting cash and depositing the cash as they take the maize outside the country. And the country were remaining without food, without maize meal, because they were buying off. The same was happening to Zimbabwe. Later on, I saw the Zimbabwe maize meal being sold at City Market. This is Zimbabwe. But I passed through Zimbabwe going to South Africa. There was no meal there. There was no food. They were only eating potatoes. But the maize meal, which is supposed to be bought by Zimbabwe, it has been emptied. It is being sold in Zambia. It is taken to other poor countries. That has been going for a long time to bring down leadership that is not agreeing with our colonial masters, America, Vatican City, France, Britain. Why do they buy off products on the market? They want to show the government to have failed to provide. They made Zambians at that time, 1991, to raise against Kenneth Kaunda. By the time we are voting for Chiluba, the trucks with food, they were all over the borders waiting the announcement of Chiluba winning. Immediately when they announced that Chiluba won, the following morning, all the shops were full with drinks, the potatoes, it was full with the eggs, with all the... We rarely saw what we call Coca-Cola. Hey, Coca-Cola is available. They had held it, not because the government was failing, because they were not happy for rejecting donor aid. Chiluba came with abundance. Everything was there on the market. Then compliance began, selling off of companies to our colonial masters in the name of private sector. They changed their name. They didn't want to be called colonial masters. They changed. They said, no, we are investors. Apathy. Here we come. The differences, the jealous, the killing each other, selfishness. Then what has it brought? Dependence. What is dependence? When the government is debating on what? Consumer bill, credit bill, so that the government can agree to borrow money, can agree to pay the money, dependence. At the same time, there are grants and the money, millions of money that EU paid Hakainde Hichilema to fight corruption is the money that is used all over, even here in South Africa, which is used to make people to protest about the body of Lungu, and to protest about the wife to late President Lungu, Esther, to go and face her crimes. Also, Tasira Lungu, because of the farm that he has bought, which is worth I don't know how many million. Why exaggerating all those things? Where does land in Zambia can cost all those millions? What is there in that farm? Why is it that this propaganda, American fake news, to destroy someone's image, because you know that Tasira Lungu, she's actually been called by many other, I don't know whether they are false prophets or they are prophets, who say that they saw Lungu, Tasira Lungu, standing as a president. I don't know, but what I know is that they simply assume, because they see that the power that the father had, it is still reckoned, it is still regarded, and the only person that can stand in his place is the daughter, who is already an MP, meaning that is only remaining with one step to be president. So they would say, oh, God revealed this to me. But what God reveals to me is that PF will bounce back into power. But he has not given me a person, but he actually told me to say I should speak to a president, that an opposition leader that is willing to take God's message as it is, because his state house, there is a frog that killed Mwanawasa, that killed Chiluba, that killed Rupiah Banda, that killed Sata, that has killed also Edgar Lungu. And as I've already said, there's no word that I've written in my letters to say I saw Hakainde Hichilema standing on the other side of the fire and Sata on the other side of the fire. Me, I was sleeping on a camp bed. I was listening when Sata stood hitting his chest. I'll be president no matter what it takes. This one also says, I'll be president no matter how long it takes. These people, they followed each other. The coming in of Lungu was just a caretaker, and it was facilitated also in my visions and dreams. I have letters. Amos Chanda is the witness to the letters that I have. Also, Christine Kaseva is the witness. I challenge anyone who has the contacts of these people to ask them, why should I spend my time claiming to have said these things when I have even letters addressed to these people? So what is it that I'm trying to say? I'm saying, HH, if you continue using the issue of Lungu to campaign or to decampaign the PF, that means you are directly fighting with God, who revealed to me this vision. God revealed to me the restoration of PF, and I have letters regarding the same restoration. And if you don't know, you are fighting with God. You can prolong your stay, because your stay, I don't see it, the speed you are taking to fight people. I don't see you staying beyond 2026, because people are crying with hunger. Instead of fixing hunger, instead of fixing the economy, you are fixing people. It's very shameful. Anyone who speaks, President Ramaphosa, they insult him in parliament, they insult him in the street, they insult him everywhere. Who did he arrest? Kambwili, for exposing your tribal appeal for vote. You arrest him. The police commission, Katanga, for just having minibuses, you arrest her. Many other people are just being arrested. Why was the GBM, who was your vice president, when you are campaigning, you arrested him to a point that he almost died while in detention? When people say that you are behind the killing of Edgar Lungu because you denied him medical access, you say they hate you because you are Tonga. Why can't you tell the truth? We have the Kapwepwe. We have the Garim Combo, who have been seasoned politicians from one party to another. Garim Pombo can stand in any province in Zambia, they'll vote for him. But you also fired him from your party because you knew that he was a threat to stand on your place. The American fake news, it won't help you. When it will be enough, there's a video I've shared of a big man who says that we always step on black ants, very tiny, small ants. We step on them every day. But one day, that same small ant, it will bite you. He also explained that you cannot make people suffer, and you create an environment using social media to say everything is fine, when in the actual ground, people are suffering. You've forgotten your slogan. You've forgotten all the things that you said you are going to sort them out. Now, because you are given money to kill people using fake criminal charges, and you continue. Right now, you are using South African people who doesn't know anything about what you are talking about. What charges do they know? Who told them that the family of Lungu is running away from charges? I believe if the news that I got that SADC is against your arresting of opposition leaders, meaning that what I've been warning you to say, all the opposition leaders, regardless of which party they belong to, as long as you are arresting them using the money from EU, it's a forced arrest. Proceeds of crime. What is proceeds of crime? Because I have a phone that I don't have a receipt. Then you say, because this phone I don't have a receipt, it's a proceed of crime. When there are people who are selling phones in the street without receipts, why can't you arrest them for selling phones without a receipt? If you want to put law in place. The cyber law, as laws stood up against you, they are telling you to say the cyber law is against human rights, the freedom of speech. When we say Hakainde Hichilema appealed for votes saying, Kamhotera mutonga, nyo no watonga nyo, inga mhotera buti, mianda ujaya ngombe kujara lungu. Lungu ngo munyinwani. Kamuvotera ndime mtamu jairi ngombe lungu. Don't kill an animal for Lungu, who was then a president. Asking your fellow tribes people not to kill an animal for the president, was it not an insult to the president? Demeaning the president to something that is useless. And the person who was talking about that, Mr. Kambwili, exposing your tribalism, then you say that the judges say that is guilt. Is guilt of what? I'm advocating to say every wrong thing that all these people have done, it must be forgiven and start a new page. But if you don't start a new page, all these people that you are arresting, they go to the grave. The same case of you advocating for tribalism, it shall take you into the prison. Remember, I mentioned it before you became president to say, I saw you alone in a house. The same way I saw Chiluba, I saw you. And I told you that you'll be arrested. So you'll be a clever man. If you won't die, prison is waiting for you. And you won't escape. This letter has 2 pages. Another page is still somewhere there. I have a lot of work. I cannot manage to sort out my papers. But the points that I want are here. This is 1st March 2008. This letter, I wrote it to who? To President Dr. FTJ Chiluba, Kablonga. I said, dear former president, how are you? I'm fine, and the Lord is blessing his work. May I begin by saying you are the most beloved of God due to the number of visions and dreams that God has shown me to give you in order to rebuke and warnings to make you withdraw from your purpose and the pride of life. Job chapter 33 verse 14 to 18, where God says he speaks once and twice. So now, if God speaks once, the second one is the final one. So this letter, it was a warning. Me, I don't speak blessings because God has not given me to bless a president who is doing wrong. The only opportunity that I've cried to say why God will have been showing me through all these presidents, it is warning. When will I give a positive? He says, can you check for a leader that is willing to protect my ministry? Bless that one so that he can fight a good cause. He can defeat the frog that has killed all these 6 presidents. And that is also aiming to take the life of Hakainde Hichilema. So this letter continues on paragraph 2. Now listen to what God has shown me on 29th February 2008. In a night vision, I saw on a front page of a newspaper your photo in which you were dressed a torn jean trousers. And in the next day, I saw you physically as you appeared before the court without shoes. This was a warning of his death. Torn jeans and without shoes. If you remember from this letter, how many days, how many months did it take for Chiluba to die? I leave it as a homework. The message is, your goings are tough and there's no peace in your goings. All presidents that have made God's judgment, I've given them the same message. You, Hakainde Hichilema, I've told you even on Facebook, I saw a rough road from your house and you are alone as a gatekeeper, holding a metal chain or what, rope, because that one was not a chain like, but it was that like a rope, but in as a wire, a heavy one that you held, crossing as a barrier for cars. But it was not even a barrier because a car can just pass whilst you are holding. So that has a lot of interpretation in your matter, where you want to hold, you want to use the law. You think the people who are surrounding you, singing for you, they are helping you. They are not helping you. You are pulling a wrong direction. We are not saying that corruption must be condoned. We are not saying that thieves must be let go. We are not saying that lawlessness must be in Zambia. We are simply telling you to say we are fighting a wrong people. They are not criminals. They are just politicians who are against your boss, the Vatican seat, who is promoting homosexuality. Why can't you, Hakainde Hichilema, demonstrate to us that you can marry your fellow man? If you can have partnership with Vatican that ordains gay marriages, that means you are part of them. You cannot deny that part. The one who moves with a thief is a thief. So if you move with the homosexual, you are also homosexual. Period. Let not people deceive you, Hakainde Hichilema. We know who you are. If you entertain Freemasons, when all these previous governments, they never entertained them, who are you then? If you are not Freemason. If you can't speak against that, who are you? We saw the Universal Church when it was practicing drinking of blood, of human urine, human blood. Chiluba demonstrated by closing down that church. Even when he was forced to open it by the Pope, we know that Chiluba had morals. He was not part of it. He was just overpowered. We know that. And that is the reason why Chiluba died in all crossroads fighting for his name. Why former president, they come back to politics? It's because when they resign, they find their names flying in the social media that they are criminals. Because those who remove them from power, they don't want them to tell the people the truth. Because once they tell the people the truth, the country will know to say we are under slavery by Vatican. Three. Yeah, paragraph 3. I think let me just Let me just finish the same statement. But you have no choice of your own, only to obey God's voice. I'm one person who fears God above any creature, and I can't deny you the chance to worship God in truth and in spirit, according to John chapter 4, 23 to 24. When God gives a vision, I definitely and faithfully tell it to you, even when you hate me for the revelation. This is what I told Chiluba. I can't deny you a chance to do what is right, to worship God. If God gives me a vision, I'll tell you. Whether you hate me or not, I'll tell you. I have these letters that are here for Michael Sata, 22 October 2011, where I was pleading for him to have what? In fact, I was supposed to start with September, 26 September 2011, the congratulations for winning the elections. I think this for winning elections, congratulations. There's another letter which I can even bring. I think I have a lot of them, but I just chose few of which I can easily access. What did I say to Michael Sata? I said it was on 26 September 2011. His Excellency Michael Sata, the Republican President of Zambia, State House. Congratulations for winning the 2011 elections in fulfillment of prophecy. How are you and the family? I'm blessed. I'm humbly pleased over your thunderous victory in the fulfillment of the 27 May 2007 vision. The time when Sata won the elections, I could feel how people were dancing. Do, 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 do. The ground, it was like there was an earthquake. Other people were on the top of their vehicle. Others fell when they were rushing to ZNBC in Mtendere area there, just to declare their happiness on Michael Sata, because Michael Sata had an agenda to rescue Zambia from donor dependence. He talked against China, fake products. He talked against this donor dependence. He was a man of action. But because God had given me a vision where I warned him, in this vision, I told him to say, he must not be a president. But he rejected that warning. I think I have a lot of letters that talks about Sata. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you in a brief, because I have to come back to read one by one and in order of these letters. So let me just give you the introduction part of it. I said, firstly, let me accept that I too get a full understanding of this vision when it comes to pass. This is in reference to the dream. This dream I saw whilst in the village in Mumba as I slept on a camp bed before a big fire and a lot of people gathered. Then I saw Michael Sata standing, pointing to me and said, hitting his chest, I will be president no matter what it takes. I'll go to State House. He was opposing my statement on the interview. Just after him, I saw UPND President Hakainde Hichilema standing the other side and said, what I know is that no matter how long it will take, I'll be president of Zambia. If Sata is able to fight the frog, that was my next statement, that has crushed Mwanawasa's term of office, let him prove it, and I wish him good luck. I want to admit that your thunderous victory has challenged my faith, and I want to further say, I also fully understand the vision as they get fulfilled. Letter to Mr. Rupiah Banda, Republican President of Zambia, 10th July 2008, 2009, and the same is found in Volume 2, Criminal Trespass, open letter to Dr. Mwanawasa, 2707, page 120, 112, and 113, 2008 edition. So this letter that I was just quoting, where I said, if Sata is able to fight the frog, I wish you good luck. So if Hakainde Hichilema does not call me and stopping using the issue of Edgar Lungu's family, the body is not yet buried, but you are bringing them up, left, right, and expect them to do what, to accept to come and bury in Zambia. It's impossible. Let's be realistic. If it were you who has lost a father, and the social media always talks about allegations, cases that are not even proven, millions and millions just to raise people to think that these people are criminals. No, it must not be like that. I'm not defending them, but I'm simply saying justice. The letter for 22 October 2011, I said, 2011 prayer exhibition of books and letters, 90 days for national prayer. This is where I said, His Excellent Michael Sata, the Republican President of Zambia, State House. How are you and the family? I'm blessed. I write to make a follow-up on the letter I wrote on 14/10/2011 in line with the captioned above. I have since not received any reply from you, and I feel something is wrong in the way you look at matters of God. Since you know me and you read my letters before you became president, my caution is, among many prophetic revelation, the revelation of the wound on your head, chest, and shoulder must not be treated with contempt, but as for me, I take courage from past revelations that have been fulfilled. And from that fact, I have taken a step to pray for you, for God to withhold the fate, because the same vision of the wound set the line of mercy to the late President Mwanawasa. As I read this thing, it is precisely what I wrote. And this was not taken serious by Sata and his press aide, Amos and George Chela. Amos Chanda and George Chela. Understand, Amos Chanda is one of your social media team. He joined you because politicians, they follow where there is food. They don't follow justice. If he has justice remaining in his character, you confirm to you that I sat with him in State House, I think twice, regarding this issue that I'm reading. When I warned Michael Sata of the wound on the chest, it was like a joke. This was 22 October 2011. I'll come back to that point. Many can question the credibility of the 90 days of national prayer, and some may still think that it's a means for me to reach state coffers, because other men of God who have taken such steps to pray for Akan in support of the third term, etc., are in wealth today. But if you, Sata, have no proof that behind my revelation there is a hand of God, wait and see. If God has not spoken to me. Martin Malachi King Jr. said, on some position, cowardice ask the question, is it safe? Vanity ask the question, is it popular? Ordinary mind ask the question, is it politic? But cowardice ask a question, is it right? And there comes a time when a true follower of God takes a stand that is neither safe nor popular, but because it is right. When I said to Michael Sata to say, wait and see, if my revelation, there's no hand of God, the same mouth is referring to you, Hakainde Hichilema. Wait and see. Don't persecute Lungu's family, Kambwili, Katanga, and many others which I don't know. Don't persecute them. Make sure their charges are genuine. If they are not, they are made up, as those who made up their charges against me of trespass and mental illness, schizophrenia. You are facing God himself. And God cannot show you his face, his wrath, if I have not spoken. He waits for me to speak, and he waits for you to reject. And when you reject, what follows? I wrote a letter on the 1st February 2012 to Mr. Amos Chanda, State House Information Deputy Press, Amos Chanda. RIF, National Crisis and Press Statement. How are you? That was the caption above. I'm all right. The Lord is blessing me and my family. The rumors about the assassination of President Sata last Sabbath on 21st January 2012 happened 6 days after the 15th January 2012 appointed date for ending the 90 days national prayer that was aborted because the president did not consent to it. The assassination rumor promoted me to SMS you, and I asked you, is it well with the president? And you replied, he is well. Just finished 90 minutes interview with Time magazine a while ago. SMS time 1904 hours. Date 24/01/2012. This reply of a magazine that is not local and not found in the street for the poor and for the media reports and photos are not proving that the president is well. I'm Thomas that believe by touching the wounds of a resurrected Jesus Christ, and I will only believe after the national address. I requested Amos to say, let the president address the what? The nation, if he's alive and in good health. Today the nation is in deep crisis. I continued, because as a messenger of God, I seem to be contradicting the press. When I asked about my prophets in relation to President's assassination story, my conviction is, if the president is not assassinated, then he is given a breathing space, as I saw in a vision. But without a divine intervention, I'm positive that the nation has suffered another grievous death of a sitting president. What was a breathing space from 2012 to 2014? So, if what I was writing is a lie, I avail myself for arrest. I see how far your president will last. What pains me is the attitude of our president with the letters in their homes. You have these letters, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. I'm not reading something that you did not receive. All the letters that I wrote after 2008, when you called me, even before, I think 2007, the open letter to Mwanawasa, I addressed it to you. And I know that you have these letters. Tell the people that are surrounding you that you know these letters. Tell them. Let them stop speaking useless things to me. Let them stop insulting me. I've been forced to return their insults. Not because I want to insult, but to save them so that they can live long. Because when I insult you, that means I've given you a second chance. But if I surrender you to God, you may die even without seeing how your boss will be arrested. If I insult you, thank God if I tell you to say you are foolish or you are stupid. You should thank God because I'm giving you time to see how your boss will go to the grave early than expected. You think I'm happy to be in exile? And when you are eating donor fund, you start insulting us, you think that we are stupid? May God forgive you. Because the way my heart is paining, bleeding, to see a lot of people are suffering in Zambia because of politicians who are selfish. Politicians who claim to be worshiping God. Others are saying, we are going to pray for Hakainde. The same people. There's another seeding who was insulting me that is going to pray for Mwanawasa. Where is his prayers? Where is Mwanawasa? He has disappeared. He can't even follow me on Facebook. The Seventh-day Adventist. They were calling me false prophet. Mwanawasa, when I talked about everyone can die. Everyone can die. All right, let's see. 2015, I was interviewed here in South Africa, Daily Sun. I said, Zambia will lose every president if they don't come to God. Today, others, they seem like I'm putting myself to be recognized. I'm not putting myself to be recognized. I'm proud. I'm a messenger of God. And I have that blessing. I'm proud. Regardless of how many names you can talk, I'm proud. I'm happy. And those who wanted to kill me through forced arrest and these copies, which is Chinama and Zambia, they are shy. I was given a lot of drugs so that by the end of a week or so, I must become one of the mad people. They failed. I'm playing the sound of God. This music I'm talking, it's an inspiration from God. Hakainde, ask Amos Chanda. I wrote this letter to him. Let him say no and see God's hand. Why should I? Where did I know Amos Chanda? I know him. I held his hand. We sat in State House there. I'm not a politician. I'm a messenger of God. If I wanted to be a politician by now, I was going to be an MP somewhere else, Someone came to my house. They wanted to adopt me to be president. I refused. I wish it was today, because today I'm suffering. I was going to stand. I was comfortable with God's given skills in my hands. I started arguing with Amos Chanda's excuse of having what? Having Sata on a what? On an interview. This letter I'm holding, I wrote to Christian Kaseva. He's an ambassador in your government, UPND. Ask Christian Kaseva, ask her if what was written here failed to meet its prophecy. Ask her. Here's the letter. There's nothing I can change here to say, no, maybe I made a mistake on one statement. No, it was God's inspired writing. I said, let me just read a few pages. This letter is the one which contains the prophecy of Lungu. "14th February 2012, before Lungu became president, I was shown of him. I was shown his death. Not different with who? With Sata. Lungu did not finish the 10 years term. He only ruled 7 years. As he came back into politics, within the limit of the 10 years, you wanted to finish up the 3 years. And it caught him from there. Because he refused to listen to God. How are you? I'm not all right. The Lord has troubled me and my family to save a nation that is unwilling to listen to the warnings through visions, through revelations. This matter deserves a serious consideration, as it is not a political issue, but spiritual, in the sense that God wants to review his true church among many others that claim to be sent by God, while drifting away from the Bible truth in order to feed their bellies. I said, this is a serious revelation that God has troubled me to save, to review the true church. And I said, this matter is spiritual. When you take it physical, Hakainde Hichilema, it is spiritual. According to the vision captioned above, you are a widow. That's what made Christian Kaseva to be mad against me. I continue to say, this is also confirmed by the events that have just passed, after the assassination story. I expected him to address the nation when he came from AU summit. According to the press, it was reported that the president will address the nation later. This never happened. Again, it was reported that the president will lay rates at the late Chiporoporo graveyard last Sunday. This never happened. And above many other great expectations, he was supposed to grace the African victory by the national team. Least to say, he was nowhere to be spotted apart from the usual file photos and videos that he was at a rally. This act by the president is likened to a father who leaves the field work, where the firstborn child wedding is set and food is prepared for all the guests and the friends. Then I said, these events, according to my human understanding, they have cleared my conscience that the State House is in a frog predicament that crushed late President Mwanawasa. And what I want to say is, if the president is alive, he shall not rise from his deathbed. And without intervention of God, this is according to God's word. Can you tell me, did Sata address the nation after that assassination story? Never. Sata was just being handpicked from one place to another, from one place to another. He could not address the question. He could not address the nation. The 2 years after the assassination story, Sata never did anything to address the nation. I said, you never raise from his deathbed. He was a moving grave. They did heart transplant for him to be walking like that, being held with the wife. The wife was smiling, pretending that all is well, entering the parliament. I posted that picture where you can see there's no life, but the government kept on pretending that there's life. Wherever Michael Sata was going, there was an ambulance. Wherever Michael Sata was going, there was an ambulance. For him to stand and speak, they have to put too much injection to energize him. Deathbed. He never rose. This I wrote, not wishing Michael Sata evil, but appealing to his hardened heart. Even what I'm speaking to you, Hakainde Hichilema, you are not my enemy. Even when I've told you to say in 2 days' time, I'm not going to mention your name anywhere in my speech. Whenever I'm reading, I see it, I'll be blank, I'll close my mouth. I want you to see God's face. You are people who have been warned by God. For you to win your elections, God warned you before you won the elections. You are the one who called me 2008 and asked me about the fate of Mwanawasa. I explained it to you when the whole nation was actually holding a fast prayer and meeting me. I told them to say, no, Mwanawasa is dead according to my revelation. Mwanawasa died immediately when he collapsed there. No, movie TV, they called me for interview. I told them to say, you want me to say what? No, there's a national prayer that is being organized and they are praying for Mwanawasa, and you mentioned about Mwanawasa in your straight talk. So I want you to give the update to the nation. I said, Mwanawasa is dead. There's no Mwanawasa anymore. No, let me go and ask my manager. She came back and told me to say, no, we cannot interview you. I said, thank you, but you must know that he's dead. They started sending the doctors. When the doctor came back, they said, who is that doctor who said Mwanawasa is sedated? Who is that one? I've forgotten his name. You know the stress of sleeping in the street of Johannesburg because of being a refugee. It has erased my memory, many things. But I thank God what he planted in my heart, in my head concerning these visions is a black print. I can't forget. The rest of other things, even some stories my wife tells me about children who had drawn by the house, sometimes whatever was happening, it's like I was not there. But when it comes to what God gave me in a vision, I can't forget. I thank him for that. So what is it that I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say God cannot lie. When he has spoken, it shall be proven. I'm not forcing myself to anyone. If the whole Zambia can say, we don't want your prophets, we don't want you, I stop praying for it. I don't mind. If South Africa will say that because you are talking about Ramaphosa, I'll stop speaking about them. I'll be a person without a home or anywhere. I don't care as long the God that I worship tells me what is truth. When Chiluba died, did he go with his money in the grave? When Sata died, did he go with his money? When Mwanawasa died, did he go with money? When Kaunda died, did he go with the Donsu's hotel that he has? His money? Did he go with it in the grave? Nothing. So where is the pride? Even if you are in the state house, are you going to die and they bury you with the state house and all your president will be buried, state house in your grave, everything, your bed and your money in the grave? Nothing. So where is the pride? You came on earth with nothing, you go back with nothing. This mindset of saying when someone is speaking the word of God, people think that is after money. That's where a colonial free education has taught you. They teach you, they advise you to oppose the truth and blackmailing people that they are after money so that the people should not listen. When you see me dressed poorly, then whenever I say what God says, you say is after money, is after recognition, is a state house for everyone. We owe the 6 million in Zambia for them to live comfortable and happy. They must be in state house. That is foolishness. We are not after state house. We are after saving Africa from economical slavery. I'm not speaking about being to say someone must be a president. All these prophets that say, I see this one winning, I see this one winning. They're after money because they don't tell people why are they winning. They don't even give the presidents, those who are aspiring to be president, the agenda of God. They don't even warn them of wrongdoing. I said this. Sorry if I sound negative, but I'm one person who is almost affected. And I wrote many letters to warn your husband out of godly love. And I said, if they fail to rig the election, listen to this. I was telling who? I was telling Christian Kaseo, Sata. If they fail to rig and you happen to win the elections, in fact, it was the letter that I was writing to Sata. Now I referred this contents to Christian Kaseva. I said, I told your husband that if they fail to rig and you happen to win the election, then they will kill you. Letter dated 15 September 2008, received and signed by Secretary Mrs. B.M. Zulu. Mr. Sata called me and says, who did you give this letter? When was that? I think I have a letter. It was on 2nd February 2012 when I received a call from Mr. Sata on number 02 11 268 510, time 11:44. This call lasted 1 hour 32 seconds, in which you said that you never received the letter dated September 2008 with a vision of the deep cut on your head, chest and shoulder. The vision is something that you should not treat lightly unless God has stopped talking to me in visions and dreams. When we are discussing, he had said that he never received that letter. But I heard him, I told him to say, the letter you are reading, he read another letter. I said, the letter you are reading, it is attached to the letter that I wrote. So I heard him opening the pages, flipping the papers. Then I said, check on the letter that is attached there for 20 what? For 2008. It was signed by B.M. Zulu. When after he flipped the letters, Then he read and he dropped the call. He never came back to me. He was convinced after I told him to say, this letter was received by BM Zulu. I know BM Zulu was one of the secretary for PF. Ask her if she's still around. So, what is it that I'm trying to bring across to the Zambian people? I'm saying the same God who owned President Kaunda is the same God who is speaking to Hakainde Hichilema. The same God who spoke to Chiluba is the same God who is speaking to Hakainde today. The same God who spoke to Mwanawasa, warning him about his collapsing, is the same God who is speaking to Hakainde. The same God who spoke to Rupiah Banda is the same God who is speaking to you, Hakainde. The same God who spoke to Sata is the same God who is speaking to you. The same God who was pleading to Edgar Lungu, and Edgar Lungu is still awaiting burial, is the same God who is speaking to you, Hakainde Hichilema. I'm done. Should I plead for you? Or should I plead for anyone to be prayed for me? No. I leave it open. I don't want to plead for anyone. But I'm telling you to say, State House is a no-go area. All the president that will rule, even their own State House, they'll meet my God. Stay at your house, the same house. I saw it in a vision. The same road, dust road, which is on your home, which you call community house, the second State House. I saw it in a vision. The time when I was delivering a letter, it actually echoed in my mind to say, this is what I saw. The only difference is that there are no bumps. But when I saw it, bumps were there. I checked if I can see any bump reaching your house. There was no bump. But the bumps that I saw, they are spiritual. May God bless you. Thank you.